Is that what?
No. I
Well, that's what I'm saying.
No, you were the one who said, well, when they did this raid, which this raid had nothing to do with the topic at hand, because it was, by the way, this was a warranted raid, as in legal warrants.
That's right.
Okay. Stopping people in MacArthur Park is not a warranted raid. This is taking people in military vehicles dressed as combat soldiers and chasing them in the park and stopping everybody that they could stop who fits a particular profile. Not at all analogous. Huh?
That's the instruction?
Well, that's what they did.
No,
And that's what they did. And since you just said that they're highly trained, the Border Patrol and ICE agents, so obviously they were operating under instruction to do so. There was some command structure that caused for them to come in such force and just stop everybody that they could round up. Did you see the videos?
No.
Okay, that's exactly what they did. Now, what they were told at the briefing...
Do you know the results?
No, I don't know, but what difference does it make what the results were?
Because they could have got a tip. They could have got a tip that there were illegals there. You know.
Right. All right. Have you ever been in MacArthur Park? It's in downtown LA. By the way, most of the people in MacArthur Park are homeless people who hang out in the park. But that's an aside. Okay? People are enjoying the park, trying to get out from their stuffy, not air-conditioned because they're poor, apartments in the summer heat of Los Angeles, California, in the downtown area of Los Angeles, and suddenly here come these people in military vehicles dressed like they're invading Fallujah, and they're chasing everybody in the park and they're grabbing people. And you think that's analogous to having a warrant and going into the 2 farms in Southern California, as they did yesterday, and making a lawful arrests of people, and in the process finding children who are working who ought not to be working? Do you think there's really an analogy there?
No, but
then why did you use it? Then why did you use it?
No, not the way you say it. I say ICE has a job to do. Sometimes it's not as easy as going into a factory of marijuana dealers.
Nobody said it was easy. Nobody said it was easy. The question is lawful. Here's the thing. Even though the term does not really apply to a lot of the people who come into this country and who are not yet have not yet had their status adjudicated. The term illegal immigrant does not apply to all of those people, but we use it for them all because the argument is made. What part of illegal do you not understand? What part of illegal do you not understand, Gary? Well, what part of illegal, on the part of the ICE do you not understand? If you've developed look, I'll give you a fine analogy because I've had the opportunity many times to participate in drug raids in Detroit, many times as a reporter. Not as a prisoner nor as a cop, but I would ride with the cops. And let's say we have information and belief that there are people dealing drugs in a park. Well, you've got to be specific about which people you are going after, and you have to go to a judge and convince the judge that you have enough probable cause to go into that park and arrest people. So how do you do that? You go in undercover and you make buys and you identify the people who you know are dealing drugs. You don't say, well, there are 20 people there and there's a lot of drug dealing going. Let's just round all 20 up and see how many drugs we can find on people. You cannot do that.
You're talking legal Americans, though, right?
How do you know whether, first of all, first of all, I don't know whether those people no, I have no idea of knowing whether those people in the park are legal Americans or not.
They They weren't selected because they thought they might be illegal aliens.
No, they were selected
Because of drugs, right?
Right.
Because of drugs.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But there were other people in the park that had drugs, probably, other than the ones that we arrested. So what the hell's your point?
I'll land my plane. I'll land my plane with my.
Well, no, I want to know what your point is. Come back and explain your point based on my challenge, don't?
Okay, well, I'm not running. My point is they had every right to do what they did. We have over our limits of illegal aliens doing bad things to people and children with drugs and whatever. So I think they're right to do it. We don't have a lot of time to do it. They're outnumbered. They're facing mobs of people who are attacking them constantly. And I openly support ICE. I hope a lot of people in your audience backs me on this, because I support ICE. I think they're well trained, they're government agencies, and they're looking out for our protection. That's my point. I don't think anybody's rights were violated in this national security incident. That's my point.
Oh, it's a national security incident now. You just elevated it. Okay, so listen. You live in New York City, so you know full well that these are the same arguments that the NYPD use for stop and frisk. They just stop any black person in Harlem or in other areas of in Brooklyn. They would stop any black person who fit a profile similar to you getting pulled over looking like a hippie. They would stop black kids wearing hoodies and frisk them for guns. And guess what? It was a real problem, guns on the streets of New York. And the cops are outnumbered, and the people don't want to get shot. And you know what? It's a clear and present danger. Stop them all and frisk them and get the guns off the streets. But the courts ruled, hold on, the courts ruled you cannot do that. You cannot do that. You have to have reasonable belief that that person is carrying a gun, not just because it's a black kid with his pants down and his BVDs hanging out and wearing a hoodie, which matches the profile because they want to look like gangsters in the prison because they're not wearing belts, because they take the belts away from the prisoners, so they walk around like I'm a gangster, man. All right, he looks like a gangster. Let's stop him. Well, no, you can't do that because that's racial profiling.
Right.
So do the ends. But you're arguing that when it comes to illegal immigration, we're not talking about people running around with guns, by the way, by and large. We're not talking about people selling drugs. We're talking about people who are merely in the country, quote unquote, illegally. It's such a problem, especially if they're enjoying a quiet afternoon in MacArthur Park, to round them up without regard to the kind of fair play that we expect towards the black kids in Harlem or
Gary,
Brooklyn.
what was the result of the roundup? Do you know?
No, and I don't care. I don't care if they got 30 or 40 illegal immigrants, so-called. I don't care. What I care is whether the ends justify the means.
Well, either they got 30 or 40 immigrants, good, or they stop people and people show their ID and they...
What ID? What ID?
Also good.
Oh, okay. Jules, you're a white Jewish guy, so you're not going to get stopped.
Okay, come on. I told you I was stopped.
That was back then when you looked like a long-haired hippie freak. Today you're not going to get stopped.
So did everybody else.
Okay, you're not getting stopped today, are you, Jules? You're not afraid that when you walk down the street in your suburban New York neighborhood that you're going to get stopped by the cops because you're walking down the street, are you? No. Okay. So the analogy is not a fair analogy. I don't understand this mindset. I really don't.
The mindset of supporting ICE.
It's not a question of supporting ICE. I support the cops. I'm a big supporter of the NYPD, but I don't support the NYPD illegally stopping people, do you?
Do you? No, not illegal.
Okay, wait a minute. How could you not? You're not a supporter of the NYPD, and I hope that everybody here listening to me is not like Jules and they actually support the NYPD.
Do you support ICE, Gary?
Of course I do.
Okay. Do you believe they're trained government agents?
Yeah, they're trained. Of course they are.
Okay. Why don't you find out what was behind what your question was about? Did they have information that there were illegals there? That makes a whole.
Coleman himself says they stop people based on racial profiling. It's not an argument, Jules. The government acknowledged it today.
Well, this is a tough one because we're looking for one type of race. I think it's more than racial profiling that we're looking for,
Okay,
You come to my
leave it there.
neighborhood, you could come to my neighborhood and arrest a whole bunch of them. I'm telling you.
Oh, wow. Well, let me make sure that the ICE folks here in New York know about that. Give me your address. And I'll make sure
What
that
are you
it's
gonna
taken
do?
care of. I'm going to have them take care. I'm going to let them take care of your neighborhood right now because the last thing we need are these brown-skinned people who are invading your neighborhood. So I'm going to do you a favor and I'm going to make sure that they get taken care of. Thank you, Jules.
A lot of them are working, Gary.
But if they're illegal, we don't want them. David.
Yes, hi, Gary.
Hi.
That was brutal. That was tough to listen to. Now, having said that, I think this is an obvious. Look, we see what they're doing. We see what the outcomes are. We see the phenotype of the victims of the ICE raids. These are Latino, hardworking, undocumented. Maybe some are papered. Maybe some are under asylum seeking. They're waiting for their court dates, what have you. But they know where the numbers are. It's no accident that they're going to car washes. They're going to fields and farms. They're going to restaurants. They know where these people are
Right,
and what they look like.
to use Jules' point, if they know this and if they've developed sufficient information to convince a judge to issue a warrant, that's fine. And as is what happened yesterday in those incidents. And by the way, the people who are out there protesting and interfering with ICE, you can protest, but interfering with ICE, and in particular the guy who fired a gun at ICE, he should be prosecuted through to the full extent of the law.
No question.
Absolutely. But they had a warrant in hand. How do I know that? Because the owners of those two farms issued statements saying they came with a warrant and we complied. Okay, again, just like Holman's admission today, it's not a question of fact. We know that they had a warrant based on their convincing a judge that they had probable cause to conduct the raid. Nobody questions that.
So they kind of had to cop to it, Gary, because of the optics of the sheer numbers of people that they're rounding up. It's no accident that they're from the south of the border. It's no accident. I mean, it's the laws of averages, and so I'm waiting for the raids on the white folks that are here, the white Europeans that are here. I'm even waiting for roundups of more Asian immigrants.
Listen. If you really want to get illegal immigrants, and if you really want to get rid of illegal immigrants, and that's really your motivation, illegal immigrants without regard to their ethnicity. I don't know how many Irish pubs there are in New York City, but you could start right there. Get rid of them all. Get rid of all them Irish people who have overstayed their visas and are working in Callahan's bar.
For sure.
And Dunleavy's. I can listen.
Yeah, there was a great award ceremony with Robin Williams and Jack Nicholson some 20-something years ago. and Robin Williams made the joke that we can't get rid of the Irish because who would work the restaurant, something along those lines. So yeah, we've always had a large number of factions of people from somewhere else who were working the margins, in the shadows, trying to get legal, maybe not trying to get legal, maybe because the onerous process of trying to get legal is just so gut-wrenching and expensive, and who's going to be able to lawyer up and all of that. So, and Gary, look, I hate to draw on history, but we have an amnesia in this country with regard to the power of one's color versus those that don't have the white skin privilege. Many articles have surfaced regarding the way in which bounty hunters would seek out the runaway slaves, the Fugitive Slave Act. Arguments that were made with regard to indentured servitude, indentured servants who would flee their masters, and they had the whiteness to be able to hide and leave and maybe restart their lives. That wasn't afforded for the slaves back in the day, right? And so, fast forward into World War II. We know who the enemy of Europe is, the enemy of England, France, and it was the Nazis, it was the Germans. How many Germans did we intern during that war? The German nationalists
Well, we certainly interned Japanese.
Well, that's my point. But you go after the humble, the weaker, the least politically strong of the enemies, and that were the Japanese Americans that were here. And some great documentaries. If you want to see how powerful and how mean-spirited that was. These are Japanese Americans who were citizens. They went after the Buddhist leadership, after their leadership class within these communities. They took their lands, their homes, sold them for pennies on the dollar to neighboring competitors. And so when they got out of these camps, they had to completely start their lives all over. And that you can lay that squarely on the fact they had slant skin eyes and yellow skin and were from a faraway place that Americans couldn't understand, and they were easily demonized. Well, we can't necessarily say that today with regard to the Latino community, right? Everybody loves Mexican food. How many people here have had a great Mexican meal in this room? How many people have been waited on by waitstaff that are warm and friendly, drinking a nice cold Mexican beer? And yet we allow this government, I'm not saying we're allowing it, but I'm saying a big chunk of this government, of our America, voted for this government that is actually doing this very thing. So my point with that, Gary, is yes, it's racial profiling. It's low-hanging fruit. I grew up around Latinos. I have a Spanish surname. And a lot of times many people say, well, where'd you get that last name from? I say, well, it's from Cuba. And then I'd explain where Cuba was, right? Explain the Cuban government, why my dad left Cuba, the communism and all that. So we don't do a very good job of educating America about the very histories of these countries that
I had a neighbor, a very well-educated, college-educated, post-degree person, who, on the occasion of the Puerto Rican Day Parade, as people were driving around with their Puerto Rican flags, he said, if they love their country so much, why did they come here? They should go back to their country. So, we don't even know who our fellow Americans are.
Well, yeah, I had an Australian reprimand me when I was in Cuba for saying I was from America. And she goes, you mean North America? Okay,
Yeah,
I stand corrected.
Well, the Mexicans do not like to refer to us as Americans. They refer to us as Norte Americanos.
Correct. That's right. That's right. So we don't have a monopoly on that title. At least we think we do. And so, Gary, I just pray for better days. I pray for a more sane, sober response to our immigration. I don't know that it'll end anytime soon. I don't want to see these ICE agents hurt in their process. I know they're just trying to do their job, but I think they need to take the masks down and have badges just like our regular law enforcement do. There needs to be accountability. You can't just rip up somebody and get away with it because they don't know who you are. So it needs to be tit for tat. If they can go after citizens that are utilizing force to try to stop these raids, then they should be able to go after and reprimand and sue or fire or an ICE agent who's running rogue.
1968, David, in Chicago, the cops did exactly that. They covered up their badges, they covered up their shield numbers on their helmets, and They, beat people mercilessly, and it wasn't because they were afraid of being doxxed.
Right. No, absolutely. And Gary, racial profiling for the black community in this country has been horrific. And, we've paid the price for a lot of that with regard to the response to the police's being given a pass and operating like we had this Ramparts case in Los Angeles many years ago where they were using the worst tactics of the worst to control gang activity. And of course, you can take the argument, by any means necessary. I mean, Americans, they don't want crime, but they don't want to know how the sausage gets made. And a lot of times that involves police brutality, that involves tactics that go against our Constitution. And these guys have a tough job. And so I'm not giving them a pass, but at the end of the day, this is exactly what we're seeing because these non-citizens aren't legally here in this country. So the boundaries of that shock and conscience are able to push the envelope with regard to these enforcement tactics because there's nowhere for them to turn. There's nowhere they can go. We already seen what the Supreme Court has ruled on. We saw how this Abrego Garcia guy was manhandled, taken to Central America, brought back, and he's still sitting in a detention center where the judges asked the ICE people to let him go. So what are these people supposed to do, Gary? How are we going to remedy this? That's the question I ask.
Thank you, David. That's rhetorical, I believe. Monsef.
Hey, Gary. Listen, in a time where social media is on everyone's phone and everyone's phone has a camera on it, questions about, do you respect ICE and do you trust that they're going to do a good job? Yes, I respect ICE. I like ICE. I like what they do for the country. I'm not sure that I think every ICE agent is going to do their job according to Jules, it doesn't mean that every, ICE agent or cops for that matter and all that are not going to abuse their power, okay? Power abuse is, prevalent in these kind of jobs, whether it's the individual's, call to make, which, they have been given a lot of leeway in making those decisions, and a lot of them have abused that power. Or because of orders that they're getting, that don't worry about what the rest of America thinks. We need to show force and power so that people know that we mean business. It's been a lot of stories, Gary, since this administration started with these tactics. That other than just racially profiling people, the random collecting of people, resulted in people that aren't even illegals or undocumented, whatever, being subjected to incarceration, to hold-up periods, to their rights being abused. They're even illegals or undocumented folks, if they get arrested, they should have rights. They should be able to go in front of an immigration court. A judge should be able to decide when they should be deported. But the fast deportations that they've been kind of conducting, there's a lot of stories that these people are told that, we're going to take you until we determine your status, and then they are promised a day with a judge. A lot of times they go in a group of people in front of a judge, and the judge just looks at it as a group and just decides that, okay, deported by 7 p.m. tonight. It's been stories. I mean, you heard about the DACA holder that's being held now in the Florida alligator Alcatraz. What a horrible name. And nobody wanted to hear his case. You heard about the story about the PhD student that was actually legally here, that was held for what, 20, he's the one that was filming ICE agents actually abusing, asking for, wanting to arrest people without any proof, just because of the way they looked. And he was a PhD student, he was legal, and all he did is hold up his phone and ask the agent, but they had to put something on him because apparently you can't do that. Uh, I have to carry a freaking passport with me now and put it in my car, Gary, because I live in Florida. And Governor DeSantis has given, more liberties and more, to the Florida Highway Patrol officers that if they think that someone is undocumented or illegal, that they have the right to hold them, and not in, they're not going to make a call where you sit in your car. You've got to go into a facility, and the process of determining whether you're illegal or not can take from one day to, from what I heard in some cases, to 3 weeks while they, determine whether you are illegal or not. Now, if you're driving with your credit cards and your driver's license as your only form of documentation, that doesn't mean that you're a U.S. citizen or a legal citizen, whatever. A lot of times they said they look at the driver's license. People say, "Sir, I'm a U.S. citizen." Like, well, we'll see. You're gonna come with us. And this "we're gonna come with us" thing is, whether it's profiling because of the way someone looks, or because if Monsef was speeding, and well, Monsef doesn't sound like a John Miller, so who knows where this guy came from? I mean, these practices are. I'm amazed that people that hold the United States at a higher kind of, we're a country that upholds, law and order and respect for whatever, and they still like, well, it doesn't affect my life because I don't, I'm never going to be arrested, and it's ICE doing their job protecting America. Yes, soldiers too, when they go to war, there is an ethical way, I guess, and that you should conduct war. Otherwise, you're going to be in a lot of countries, you're going to be, sent to, if you commit war crimes, you're going to be punished for it. So I'm shocked that the border czar would say this, but it's not something that we haven't seen in all the social media, in all the people holding their cameras. I was gonna mention that, and a lot of people talked about it, that in 2019, I think the last study, 2019, said that most undocumented people that are staying in this country are people who actually overstayed their visas from all kind of countries, including European.
45%.
Yeah, 45%. I can tell you that I can take you to Miami to meet some French undocumented people. I doubt you can have a problem and asking ICE to send them away. Steve is giving me a thumbs down as if it's wrong information. I can tell you that Miami is abuzz with French tourists in their 20s waiting tables at French bistros, and none of them is afraid that ICE is going to arrest Francois because he speaks with a French accent or kick him out. My last point is the First Lady of the United States actually overstayed her visa when she came here as a tourist, and then she worked as a Slovenian model. I doubt ICE is looking for any Slovenian models right now that have overstayed their tourist visas and working under the table for cash. Now, I'm going to give you a solution to all of this that you're going to tell, because people usually say, well, how are we going to get, round up all these illegals or whatever? It's fine. We want legal immigration. We don't want to encourage people to overstay their visas or cross borders illegally. Have a system where if you go to work, it's 100% proof that if you can't prove that you're a citizen or a green card holder or someone with a work authorization, you're not going to get a job. That if you're going to go rent an apartment, that you have to prove these things. So you're going to have to filter, people that offended, that have actually did not follow American law to be in this country, to be picked. I mean, you're one by one. or whatever. But going randomly collecting people because they look brown or because their name is Monsaf or whatever, because out of 20 you're gonna have 5 illegals, and you're gonna say, well, we got the 5. Yeah, but already you also got 20 people profiled in a way that's not legal. I mean, I have rights too. That's all I have to say. I don't think anybody's looking for Slovenian illegal models, and that's the problem.
Hey Gary, I just want to make an announcement. If there are any Slovenian illegal models that want to stay in the country and need a green card, I am a really eligible bachelor. I floss every day, and I'm never sick.
You will follow the steps of your president, Scott.
We love the Slovenians, man. They make the best first ladies.
The one last thing I wanted to add, and I forgot, the solution that I mentioned, that a system of determining whether you're legal or whatever before you get hired, was not something that was practiced under the Trump companies when they were running the resorts, because they had a lot of illegals working there. Why, Gary? Because they were paying them less, because they were working under the table and getting paid less. So this whole system of people that are abusing the it's not just the illegals or the undocumented fault. It's also the people that are trying to get cheap employment or whatever. And the president, again, is down 2 for 2. 2 for employing illegals because they were costing him cheaply, and 2 for having a wife that was an illegal immigrant.
Thank you, Monsef. We're going to go to Daryl, Christine, and Hinda. Daryl.
Hey, yeah, Gary. The thing about the stop and frisk you had mentioned, one of the quote unquote identifiers were also the backpacks, right? And they were mostly stopping young men of high school age, and just imagine someone who looks like a high schooler carrying a backpack in New York City, right? Go figure. What came out of stop and frisk, though, was that close to 90% of the boys that had been stopped were either black or Hispanic, and yet less than 0.5% of them had anything that would warrant, and this is a large, we're in a city of large sample size, right? Less than 0.5% of them actually had anything like weed or a box cutter or something.
Well, they
like
weren't being
that.
stopped for weeds or even box cutters, although if on a stop and frisk you find it, I guess you can arrest them for that. They were being stopped specifically for guns.
Yeah,
so that even narrows down your success rate even to a smaller degree than what you are.
Mm-hmm. But if you think about it, right, something like 40%, like you had said earlier, 2/5 of the people that come in or that stay, 2/5 don't come in through the borders. They come by plane. They overstay their welcome. You talked about, I think it was you or someone talked about the Irish bars. If you've ever moved, if you've ever used like Flat Rate in the city or Moishes or Big John's, a lot of the movers at one point, the New Yorker actually wrote an article about this a while ago, a lot of the movers were young Israeli men who had come in and were working for moving companies. And what happened, I think it was the Patriot Act, right? Before the Patriot Act, they could actually, a lot of workers who were in the process of trying to get their green cards, they could get social security numbers. And the reason they could get social security numbers was so that we could collect income taxes, meaning you can work through the process, but we want you to pay income taxes. And the vast majority, at least here in New York City, I don't have the perspective of living in a border town, right? But I do know, like, here in New York, we've got these clusters, and they're not all black and brown people. If you go over to Brighton Beach, or if you go over to like certain parts of Brooklyn,
Brighton Beach is Russian.
Yeah, exactly. Mostly Russian. So are we doing raids in Brighton Beach, Brooklyn?
That's a good
You
point.
know?
I'm gonna call Holman about that right
Yeah,
now.
you gotta call them, and then what you gotta do is you should call. I don't know what department actually manages this, but there was an article. I think it was the Village Voice when they were still a paper, and they talked about all of these people in Brooklyn who were getting their green cards through illegal marriages, and they were even saying what the cost of the marriage would be. Like if you,
I think on the back page of the Village Voice, you could actually find somebody looking for a husband.
Daryl, can we just say for the Slovenian models that were staying their visas, there is no cost for me, Daryl. If you know any in New York, send them my way, please.
I
See the Jewish guys, because we because we're trained a little bit in Hebrew, we read right to left. So, there's an old joke in Israel when they say stop the presses, they go, stop the presses, hold the back page. So, that's the only reason why I would always go to the back page first of the...
Yeah, of course, yeah. So anyone who wants to make the argument that this is not profiling people, based on how they look, then I would say, hey, go over to Brighton Beach, walk around, hang out there for a week and see how long it takes for someone to ask you, will you marry them for $40,000?
Well, just go to Brighton Beach and just grab anybody, because if you grab 50 people like they grabbed 50 people at MacArthur Park, and you get 20 people who are illegal aliens, then you've done your job, according to Jules. Yeah.
Done your job.
Yeah.
And lastly, on what, how the interaction between you and Jules was interesting, but he gave it all away when he said, come over to my neighborhood, there are a lot of them.
I know, that's why I responded the way I did.
Yeah. It's kind of like when Trump, like when, and maybe Scott will do an impression, or maybe he won't after what I say. When Trump says the blacks, that's how I felt when Jules said there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, thanks. I think we have to be careful about how we view one another. That's a good point. Your honor fell off in his back, so we'll give you a chance. And Steve, if I get to you before 7 o'clock, but that's my drop dead time to get out the door. So Christine, Hinda, and your honor, and then maybe Steve.
Hi, Gary. So I won't repeat anything. A lot of people said things I thought, but I had 2 points I wanted to make. One is, I really hope that they are training their agents and things more than just how people physically look on the outside, because it seems pretty common sense that if you're looking for a particular group of people, there's going to be characteristics that occur. Employment, geography, whatever it is, I don't really know, I'm not in law enforcement, that there would be other factors that you would create a profile that would have almost nothing to do with someone's skin color. And unfortunately, I know that's not the case. My thing is, if anybody knows the current and past system of our judicial system, just for even American citizens, is horrific. So I feel for all these people, because, you get arrested in general, unless you have a lot of money in the bank and you look a certain way, you're either going to plea bargain that deal and never get a trial. So, it's such a complex issue that it's almost probably a gift if I was American. Okay, deport me to Italy or something. I don't want to get arrested, period. But, because I know our system is terrible. The last thing I want to say, and Jules' comments really bothered me, because as you probably know from my profile, I'm an educator. I'm a New York City public school educator. What I'm most concerned with is how far will they go in terms of just choosing to go anywhere. And we're, by the way, the school systems are dealing with this. We have had to question, how far will the administration go? Will they knock on the door of the schools and especially very diverse areas, like this is something we actually have to deal with, like my profession, and it's sad that, like, how far will they go? Will they start going into schools that they know there are kids that are here illegally? So that's I have a lot of problems with this in general. I'm not against law enforcement at all. I mean, there's times, and I know people who are ICE agents, in Homeland Security. I'm not against law enforcement. But, I'm not for this enhanced license to fly in the United States for anybody. It's the whole system. I see things as, how far are we going to go in certain things? They're I don't want to say attack, but blocking students from coming in to study in this country, and I'm also a college professor, that's a nice way to start continually, just add another layer to take down the university system. Like, I don't want to go on a tangent, but to land my plane is that, how far will they go? Well, I wouldn't doubt me for a second they would start to go into schools, and I won't talk about stop and frisk, but I'll just say this. We have safety agents in our schools, and I marvel listening to other people from other parts of the country or have a job where you don't have to live, where you're in a homogenous community, that you don't encounter diverse people or law enforcement on a daily basis. I'll land my plane with that, Gary.
I don't know what grades you teach, but I was thinking about the fact that they're cutting out Head Start for children of quote-unquote illegal immigrants. And that includes federal subsidies for food. So I don't know exactly how it'll work in actual practice, but I thought that when they announced it, there'll be these kids there for these programs where they are fed because it may be the only meal they get, and the federal government subsidizes it. But if the kid is a U.S. citizen, then they'll get the food, but the kid sitting next to them will have to go hungry because the money's being pulled. So, and I know whenever I bring these things up, I am getting accused of being, as I was earlier, of just raising the issue because, it's the Trump administration. But these are unprecedented things that are going on right now that we have never seen before in our country, where we set a caste system for those children who get assistance. And I don't know why it's not more disquieting to the public. Thank you, Christine. Hinda, Your Honor, and maybe Steve. Hinda.
Okay, I just want to say this. I've been racially profiled, and not just for being black, but because I have a Muslim name. My dad is Muslim. He's from a foreign country. He's a naturalized citizen. And I can't tell you the amount of times at the airport I used to get my bags randomly searched, pulled out of the line. I mean, it would happen every time I would fly. It was just damn right frustrating. And I'm not Muslim, right? And I'm not even from these countries or these people they think do this stuff, which, like I said, you're just classifying somebody based on their name or based on their religion. It's wrong. I had a block put on my name at the airport, and it took hours to get it off, and I had to keep telling them that I was born in the United States. So I do think this is a problem. I think with ICE racially profiling, it's just like it's a slippery slope. And I think what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up having people who are documented people and people who are legally here or people who are citizens end up just getting rounded up, because it sounds like what ICE is doing is they're just throwing any target at the wall and seeing what sticks. And it's like, case in point, I'll wrap it up and let somebody else talk, but case in point, the issue with the man that was outside gardening in front of the surgical center, they weren't looking for him. ICE had a list of people, they had a warrant, whatever, they were looking for somebody, and they just grabbed him. I think they saw a Hispanic man doing, gardening, the stereotype, so they just, he ran into the hospital, then ICE chased in there after him. You got the combination of the racial profiling, they're profiling people who, are foreigners or whatever, combined with the fact that they're not identifying themselves, they're masked. The entire hospital staff was like, this is private property, you can't come in here, you don't have a warrant. I could see why the hospital staff would be defending that space. That is there for patient care. That is for the sick or the infirm people to get care. They're not there to, administer ice and arrest people and take it created a whole total disruption, total chaos. And I think what's going to happen is, unfortunately, some people are going to innocently get killed out of this. I mean, these are the situations we had in this country historically with race profiling. People end up getting killed. It's just a dangerous situation, and I think it's a slippery slope, and that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Hinder. You're on.
Thank you, and I appreciate you saying that, Enda. I had the exact same thing. I went to college in the Boston area during 9/11, and because of my Middle Eastern sounding first name, I would get quote unquote randomly stopped at every opportunity. They actually printed there were 4 S's, which I assume stood for stop, but maybe it stood for something else. And the 20th time out of 20 that I was randomly stopped, I looked at the TSA guy or whatever he was and said, "Let me guess, random search?" He goes, "Sir, I'm not talking to you yet." I'm like, okay. Then he says to me, "Sir, you've been randomly selected for a search." That kind of stuff, for me, was a relatively minor inconvenience. It was annoying. I'm a born in the U.S., multi-generation American, and just the experience is invasive and violating. For a lot of people, it's a hell of a lot worse than anything I have to face. That's for sure. I was very happy when global entry and TSA pre, all that stuff happened, because it was a way for me to avoid this. But you can't avoid the color of your skin. And these people are very clearly, and now out in the open, targeting people based on how they look. We live in a classically liberal country, or it's based on classically liberal values. Collective punishment is supposed to be against that. Law enforcement is supposed to have cause. There's all kinds of laws. We're supposed to be a nation under law. That's not happening. I mean, this is such an affront to supposed American values. And, we've seen this many, many times. I mean, in my own lifetime, my politics was largely shaped by growing up in Pete Wilson's California. He was the governor here in the 90s. And his main thing was blaming immigrants for everything, right? They were the scapegoat for any problem that anyone ever had. And he went real hard after, the quote-unquote illegals. You know what happened in California? It went from being a purple state, where we would essentially have the governorship, go swing to and fro between the parties, to being one of the deepest blue states in the country. The next time I saw this politics really rear its ugly head in a very fulsome way was in Arizona. They passed, I believe it was SB 1070 or 1050, something like that. It was colloquially or locally known as the Driving While Brown Law, or Driving While Brown Act. And it enabled essentially law enforcement to pull over anyone who they thought quote unquote looked illegal. And you know what that did to Arizona? It turned Arizona from being the bastion of conservatism into being a purple state where most of the statewide offices are held by Democrats. This is terrible on a humanitarian scale. It's terrible for our democracy, because it's people not following the laws. I refuse to call ICE law enforcement at this point, because that's not what they're doing. They're selectively choosing who they want to terrorize. I mean, that bullshit in language in MacArthur Park of dressing up like they're doing some kind of military exercise, like they're trying to intimidate North Korea, but the quote unquote opponent is Angelinos, the people of Los Angeles. Like, are you kidding me? There's going to be a political price to pay, and I feel terrible for the people who are getting caught up already. And I have to say, as a Jewish person, the famous poem, which I never get exactly right, of first they came for the gypsies and I wasn't a gypsy, so I said nothing, and then so on and so forth with the Jews and the homosexuals and so on and so forth. This is how this moment feels to me. Like, I already know people directly who have been profiled who are citizens, and like, getting arrested is not a minor thing. Being kept in a jail overnight is not a minor thing. Like, think about your own life and the people who depend on you and worry about you. and what the kind of impact this would have on you is. Like, this is just absolutely disgusting. It's anti-American. It, to the extent we've got a history of doing this in this country, it used to be that we looked back on those moments like Japanese internment, with kind of a rueful gaze as a moment of like collective insanity that we should do everything we can to not repeat. But instead, these supposed patriots who want to wrap themselves in the flag and pretend that they believe in the Constitution go out and violate people's constitutional rights over and over and over again. This has nothing to do with what they say it's about. What it actually is about is that there's a bunch of small-minded assholes who exist in this country who have absolutely no problem putting up with any politics as long as the people they hate get hurt. And that's what's happening. This isn't about justice. You don't send people who are here legally, who have committed no crimes, like over 150 of the people who got sent to the CICOT gulag in El Salvador, because you believe in law, or you believe in order. That's the least lawful, least orderly thing I can imagine. So, F these people. They should have to say who they are, stand up and be held accountable, and stop hiding behind patriotism and the Constitution. So, I'm sorry that I gave you the soft version. I feel very strongly about this, and if you want the hard version, let's find another room.
Thank you. I just want to make a comment off topic before we close, and I'm going to give Steve an opportunity to speak for like about 60 seconds, his second time up, before I have to really pull the plug. I really find commentary about the sources of stories or the news organization carrying the stories, that people who are dismissive of the stories because of what news organization carried it, and if I post it in the chat or on social media or refer to it here in the room, the story is automatically discounted as can't be true. So yesterday or the day before, I can't remember what it was, I posted a story in the chat, and it was the version that I posted happened to be a Fox News version. And boy, did I get pushback. You can't trust that. That's Fox News. It's not accurate. Oh, I know what it was. It was a story that Fox broke the story overnight, and I pointed out to the people who were pushing back on that the other news organizations are going to catch that story when they wake up in the morning, and it's going to be all over the place. And not only did the other news organizations like NBC might have been the first after Fox, the White House acknowledged that the story that Fox published was accurate. And today it's happening with a story that posted from the New York Times. Because it comes from the New York Times, it can't be true. Now, obviously, in the first case, the person didn't trust the story because the person has liberal views, and anything that is on the Fox News site has got to be wrong. And obviously several people who are complaining about the example out of the New York Times, well, they're conservative, and so they don't believe or trust anything that's in the New York Times. This is not critical thinking. This is not bias on the part of these news organizations. And I'm not saying that news organizations can't be biased. I'm saying that to have that kind of a knee-jerk reaction and make that your argument to discount the information in the story is not biased by the news organizations, it's the bias of the reader or the viewer or the listener. And I can tell you, I worked at CNN, and when I worked at CNN, there were people who presumed I must be a communist. And then fast forward to me working at Fox, and there are people who presume because I work at Fox, I've got to be a Republican or a MAGA person. And let me pull back the curtain just a little bit and tell you that when I worked at CNN, I had many colleagues. By the way, most of the people I work with do not articulate their political views. But when I was at CNN, I worked with many people who were conservatives. And working at Fox, I work with a lot of people who are liberals. They don't necessarily agree with what comes out of the mouths of the pundits on Fox, but they work there and they're good journalists. And the same at CNN. There were people I worked with who didn't necessarily agree with the editorial policy of CNN, but they worked there and they are good journalists. It's really a disservice and a shortcut and laziness to use that as a basis of an argument by discounting it because of where the story appears. How about actually reading the story and trying to determine whether there's veracity or not to the story? Okay, with that last little opening salvo at the end, I turn it over to Steve for some final words of wisdom.
Yeah, Gary, I think two important words we left out of the conversation that came from Tom Holman is the totality of the circumstances, which is kind of paints a broader picture. So with that, I know you're tight on time, and I won't hold you up any longer, Gary. Have a good evening, and try not to eat too much while you're sitting there doing your work.
Let's see. You're right. The quote that I quoted did not include the term totality of the circumstances. There is a ... in the middle that probably included what you just said. So thanks for filling in that obvious blank. Folks, we are here Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. New York time, so to 5 p.m. New York time on Monday for the next edition of the Critical Thinking Forum. Everybody be safe, be well, have a great weekend, and peace out.
With your boss on a job, I don't know how much longer I would be there. I can't do that. That is ridiculous. It's stupid. It's embarrassing. It's demoralizing. But they do it, and in his head, you see how he sits there like he's some fucking. All he needs is a what do you call those chairs that the kings sit in? A throne. That's it, and the package will be complete. He can sit there on his throne. They can sit there. If you watch any of those old movies, how the king is sitting on the and they tell him how wonderful he is and offer gifts and shit. That's what I feel like every time Trump has a cabinet meeting. So kiss the ring.
But Trump did do something great for black people. He just expanded Section 8. So it'll be he expanded Section 8. Baby. He expanded Section 8, so there'll be more people that's able to utilize that vehicle to get more money through real estate.
Are we joking? Wait a minute. Wait. Go ahead, Patty. You handle that. He just cut HUD funding. What is wrong with you?
Yes, he cut HUD funding. He expanded Section 8.
No. So Section 8.
I don't think you really.
Okay, maybe you need to explain it to me. Yeah,
I'd like to hear what you have. HUD and Section 8 are two separate things, right? He actually expanded Section 8. He cut down the times on their payment. It would be faster payment services, faster inspection services, and more opportunities and more actual kickbacks to owners who rent to Section 8. What happens is the left, they trick black people a lot because they know we don't read. So they'll say stuff like, he ended Section 8. But then throughout the read today that we had online, you realize, no, he did not.
Okay.
He actually expanded, and he really helped veterans also because he expanded another arm of it to boost qualifications so veterans can get housing through that vehicle. But if you just go back and research it and read, you'll realize that he expanded.
Interesting. Wow. Could you put a link in the chat that states your assertion, please?
I can't do the educational process for you.
Okay, so let me do the educational process for you, brother. Since you think HUD is separate from Section 8. You know Section 8 is a part of HUD. HUD runs the Section 8 program. You do know that, right? The funding has been fucking cut. The waiting list is going to be longer, so they are still accepting applications. They're talking about implementing a 2-year time limit on staying on Section 8. What do you think HUD is for? HUD gives fucking money for homeless. They do the homeless grant thing. They do they have that rental assistance program. They do their freaking low-income housing. They're the ones that enforce fair housing. What's going on?
You know what? You should probably just Google, right? Because if you do a Google, it'll say June 2021, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development expanded to Section 8.
You should just do a Google.
Right, so if you're Googling that, so my Google doesn't say that, actually.
They've added in 60,000 vouchers.
So post a link then. So I can read you what my Google says. It says, according to various reports on President Trump's proposed fiscal 2026 budget, his admin is not expanding Section 8, rather proposing significant changes and cuts. Key proposals include significant funding cuts, a proposed reduction of nearly $33 billion from HUD, including a $26 billion cut to rental aid, which represents a 40% reduction from current levels and would effectively end Section 8 housing voucher program as it currently exists. Shifts to state managed block grants. The plan proposes replacing the currently federally managed Section 8 program with state-based block grants. So basically the state will have more control. 2-year cap on assistance. This is what Patty just said. These individuals will no longer be eligible for federal rental assistance. But if you have something different, please go ahead.
It ain't so.
I already posted videos on it that go through
Videos.
There's videos where they read through it and they do it in a way that
She just read it.
people understand. No,
Wait, black people can understand it. So you didn't understand what she just said, what she just read?
Okay, well, what about what I posted in the chat? Since she read it.
All right, should I read what you posted in the chat? It says, in June 2025, the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program saw a significant expansion, particularly in New York City. I mean, you're talking about Section 8 expanding in New York City? I mean, that's New York City.
It does not say New York.
So she making it up?
The link you sent me is like a Google thing, so it might be different for everybody. So so when I click it, New York City, maybe because I'm in New York City, that's what comes to me. So send me an article, because you're sending me like a Google search.
That's the reason why I didn't want to post anything in the chat. Hey, that's an AI, brother. That's just AI. No matter what you post for black people, they're going to believe
That's crazy. Hold on. So you Googled Section 8 expansion. That's what you went off. So you already wanted it to be expanded. So because that's what you put on the Google search. So it's gonna bring you something that expands it because that's what you put on the Google search, and it actually brought up New York City. That's why I was like, put an article in the chat.
It did not bring up New York. I don't know where you're reading New York.
Hold up, can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Loud and clear.
Hold up. Now somebody else click on that link. Somebody fresh and tell us what you see.
I just did, Lisa. I just did. I put it in the chat.
No, and read it. No, I want you to read it.
All right. It is Section 8, officially known as the Housing Choice Voucher Program, has been expanded recently. In June 2025, there was significant expansion with increased voucher availability and broadened eligibility, making it easier for families to access affordable housing. Additionally, there are ongoing efforts to improve the program, including initiatives to attract and retain landlords and ensure shareholders can find suitable housing in various neighborhoods. That's what I got.
That's for the country, or is that for a specific state?
So when I exactly.
It's just an AI overview.
Right, it's an AI overview, and when you look deeper in, like you go down some more, it then says that it's cuts to Section 8 housing. So I don't think you don't really know how to do context clues. You went with one source, and that one source gave you the wrong. Well, AI gave you the wrong information, and instead of you going further down and looking at all of the links, because all of the rest of the links on that Google search that you searched says that it's being cut. So you are the blank person that doesn't know how to read.
Wait. So with the expansion, right? So I went directly to the bill. So there is expansions in low-income housing tax credits. That's number one, right? It says permanently increasing state allocations, lowers bond thresholds, possibly funding hundreds and thousands of new affordable units. But you know what that's talking about, right? They're talking about opportunity zones. And when you do these tax credit, quote unquote, wins, those are cuts to Medicaid, that's cuts to SNAP, that's cut to low income aid. So you're undercutting gains in housing affordability. So you don't know what you're talking about, bro.
So you just
it pretty much says there are no Section 8 vouchers. I'm going to go ahead and put it in. I'm going to put it in the chat for you, brother.
Bro, is that they're going to expand the projects. That's all that's expanded.
No, they're going to expand the tax credits. That's
right,
it.
Tax credits
and that's
for
for
developers.
For the real estate people.
They're not so
fucking rich.
No, because so when it comes to the existing vouchers, right?
Trump ever does, bro.
Nobody is talking
and
about
he should have bought back. He should have bought back. He should have bought back shit.
Let me shoot his wad. I'm starting to get a little irritated. Let him shoot his wad so we can.
This is the thing, bro. Trump, it doesn't matter what he does for black people, bro.
I know.
You're gonna sue us, and I'm not elected in, so what's that?
Hold the fuck up. What you're not gonna do, I don't mind you coming in and giving us information. You guys are welcome to come in and try to share. But what you're not going to do, sir, Mr. White Man, is talk about black people and talk about what we're incapable of and what we are devalued. You're not going to do that in the 420. If you want to talk about a particular issue, let's talk about it. But in the same context, you are not going to underestimate, undervalue, demoralize, and disrespect my community. You're not going to do it. So
Lisa,
rephrase your presentation, your points, and let's start over.
Point of clarity.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the king.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
The king's prince man. You remember that?
Well, I just want him because I
ain't that the AI guy?
Yeah, I mean, did you fall and bump your head in the last 2 months? Were you involved in a head-on collision? Did you fall off your motorcycle? What's going on with you, bro?
No, I actually haven't been riding my motorcycle. There's like a lot of it's a lot of immigrants in the country, and once the immigrants are gone, the streets will be safer. I'll be able to ride again.
Nigga, you was a troll. Ain't no fucking way
All those immigrants hanging out on the highways.
Real person.
Let's get started.
Maybe he's AI. There ain't no right way a real person is this fucking stupid.
I'm telling you.
AI's not this stupid. AI's not this
Hey,
stupid.
Lisa, isn't he the one that said,
That's the
Oh,
one.
No. Wait, hold up. Be quiet.
It's happening right
he
now.
already got replaced.
Let me tell you what he said. He said this. Some of you useless mother effers need to be eliminated because it's too many people on this planet who are worthless, who are not contributing to society. I'm paraphrasing. Have nothing to offer. You stand in front of the liquor stores. You go to the malls and you walk around like you at a track meet all day. You sit home and you play Nintendo.
Ooh.
You're late for work.
He
You
said
eat
twerk.
fried chicken for breakfast. And we just need to get rid of y'all. And I'm paraphrasing. So go ahead, the king. You can go ahead and
No, I just wanted to add in the part where they twerk.
Okay,
Can I say something?
That's written by like a school shooter.
Listen, I want you guys to take this guy seriously, because he's serious. This is not only coming here trying to have a stand-up comedy act.
You want me to take this serious? Yeah, right.
And thank you for coming to Friday night.
I'm with you, First Lady.
That shit funny.
So I want to say something real fast because I see where he's getting his information as I read further through. It's a website that this information is coming from called s8acquisition.com. And see, what niggas don't understand, this is how I know you're stupid.
Now we have the niggas.
Because this is what niggas don't fail to understand is anybody can purchase a website, right? And it's so easy, it's so free to do. Now, when you look at a word, you have it's context clues and websites, you know that, right? If something is said is called S8 of acquisition.com and you think that it's government information on that website, you are the fool. You the nigga that's the stupid one that don't read, that don't know context clues. And I feel sorry for you. This is why a lot of you in 2025 get scammed every day, because y'all dumbass niggas don't understand how people can purchase a website just to get over on your dumbasses. And that's exactly what happened. I land my plane.
Wait the fuck pause for a second. Shout out to Brooklyn on that. Boom.
This is dirt.
Your Honor, the people read.
Don't come on here talking about black people, this and that. You don't represent the black community at all. That was all bullshit. Every time you come in this room, it's bullshit.
He was stupid. Like, you can even read it to your own
It's happy hour, y'all.
Why is it that people get so emotional and they
I'm
always
not
get
emotional.
triggered?
I'm not emotional.
I don't understand that.
He's not being emotional. He was being honest.
Like if I say something that's true, like okay,
Mine's not being emotional.
if I say if I say, oh, AI is taking over, we need more AI to help the world. We need to get rid of people. I'll have somebody like you that'll like combat what I say, and
You say
and
it's
just
true.
spew off.
It ain't true just because it comes out of your mouth. You say it's true. It ain't true just because it comes out of your mouth. You're the stupid black and ignorant motherfucker that represent the black, try to represent the black community. You just need to shut your mouth, bro. Represent some other type of community. You didn't represent this.
Represent who?
You represented your dumb ass self in the whole stupid. You thought we was gonna read it that you was posting. That's why it took you so long to post the bitch. Cause you knew we was gonna look at it, and when we looked at it, we was gonna see that you was the fucking fool. You see how that worked?
Ma'am,
dummy.
Ma'am, I don't even
You can't combat it because you're stupid. I understand.
No, I don't take you serious.
Yeah, you can't take yourself serious neither.
No, I don't take you serious because
This is a
right. Yeah, you can't. And yeah.
No, I understand what. Go ahead.
Okay, let him get it off. The room ain't been open for like 10, 15 minutes. Let this man.
He ain't supposed to be here till midnight, Lisa.
Let this king.
Yeah, we need first aid for this man.
Well, when I'm talking, can I get it off? Because I'm driving. Let this king speak. He's bringing in knowledge. He's trying to feed. He's trying to feed our Abdullah Oblangadas. So let him get it off. So go ahead,
Well, it was very
Go ahead, King.
It was very simple. They went through the entire race.
They don't understand, King. They don't understand what you represent. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the capacity or the veracity to understand the philosophy. So, give them some grace, you see, because you're moving a little bit too fast for the underclass. High five, slamming my fingers, everybody. Amen.
Like honestly, I don't
ahead,
even.
Bro.
Honestly, it doesn't even really make me any. Never mind. I know within 5 to 10 years, these people will not be around.
You said that. Tell them where they're gonna be, King. Tell them where they're gonna be.
Yeah, we know where they're gonna be.
No, tell us, because they don't know. I'm telling you, they slow. They don't know they slow. Bring them home so we can all get along. I got bars, and I'm a star. Go ahead, baby. They don't understand.
Damn, girl. You dropping them gems tonight.
We can be. They don't get it.
So on the mic.
With it. Bring it on home so we can all get along. Come on, baby.
That's it. Come on, bars.
Is Lisa a Libra? Because that's some Libra shit right there.
No, I'm not a Libra.
Hey, she's speaking like that dude off of In Living Color. What's his name?
I tried so hard. I'm auditioning for that part. You know they're coming back, right? They're trying to bring Living Color back. And I want to be the girl from the girl prison. You know? See what I got a man who really can. And when he gets down, we go all around. Okay, go ahead, y'all.
I need to go into Russia's poetry room recently.
I'm sorry. It was Friday night. All right, go ahead, sir. Y'all, are you done, King? Are you done trying to inform these people?
Well, yeah, I'll post something else in a minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I understand. I know when I go in certain rooms and communities, and I look at certain people, I know what I'm gonna face. I've been facing it my whole entire life.
Yeah, I understand.
He's clairvoyant.
Something about.
We got Blake on the stage. Welcome, Blake. Wait, did he disappear? I thought I saw Blake. I thought I looked down and I thought I saw Blake. Oh.
He ran when he heard that book.
Nah, Blake was gonna add to it.
He definitely was.
Yeah, y'all pin your magazine because see, y'all need to start understanding that you don't know everything. And these magazines, they have been able to identify and clarify all the mysteries that we keep. So if you just give them a chance to extravagance, and we can all see.
And better sleep.
You did throw in better sleep. Okay. Work on your side. Work on your side, babe. Okay, welcome to the 420. I see already it's gonna be a wild night. I appreciate everybody for coming. I wish you would ping in a couple of people. And I have this favorite anonymous person that's a pile of shit. I would love to know who you are, but I really don't care. But I'm glad you come all the time. I really do. And it must be somebody here that you want to see, but that you don't want them to see you. That's why it's called anonymous. And I love it, because the mystery makes me tingly inside. Somebody trying to be anonymous. Okay? So I hope you're getting what you're looking for in here. I hope you're enjoying it, because we're enjoying seeing your polished shit on the stage every single day. So stay late, and you might find something enjoyable after midnight in the 420, because we tend to go really left. And if you guys are not, I don't know, if you guys are not up for it, by midnight, I suggest you make sure you're not here. We just have a good time. It's nothing creepy, nothing icky.
Consensual warning.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And you have to sign what is NDA? You have to sign an NDA. Okay, so go ahead, y'all. What else is breaking news?
Where are we going?
On the way.
I don't know if anybody's got some breaking news, but I just saw a couple things, specifically in regards to yesterday's raid in Ventura, California. A worker fell off, I don't know if it was a ladder or something, but during the raid, 30 feet, he's not in critical condition. He's deceased, making it the first employee. I mean, within the industry, there's so much blame being pushed around. Some people are accusing Glass House of murdering their own worker, being the first to do that, and it's unfortunate and unacceptable. It's just, I have no words really for it.
So somebody got murdered. Wait, can you just rewind a little bit?
Yeah, I'll put the
No,
link
just
in
say it
the chat.
again because I didn't hear you. Can you just rewind?
Sure. Yesterday during the raids at the Glass House and True Leaf, the farms in Ventura
The
County.
cannabis. Oh, okay.
Legal, yeah, the legal cannabis farms. There's two of them that the same company owns. They lost an employee, Jaime Garcia, a farm worker at Glass House in Camarillo, California, died from injuries he sustained when he fell 30 feet from a building during an ice raid on July 10th, 2025.
Get out of here.
And how I heard about this, interesting enough, was within the industry. It wasn't reported through any mainstream news media. It was a repost. And then I was also going to add, Kash Patel has been making remarks that he's considering steps when I thought that was breaking news.
Trying to escape. Is that what we're saying now?
I'm gonna have to research, see more. But if anybody else has anything on that, I'm very interested.
Yeah, I think Kash Patel said it's either Pam Bondi or me, but one of us gotta go. And
what?
Yeah. Either him or Don Bangino said the same thing, but one of those three is gonna have to step down, supposedly, because they're calling for someone's neck after this whole Epstein debacle.
Yeah, there is an article where Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi got into a heated exchange.
Pam gonna let Cash catch a stray bullet, no problem, because she's already declared, oh yeah, no, we got it, we have all the footage, we're gonna
So
release
she got into it with Cash as well?
This is crazy. I want to hear more. Y'all.
I don't know if she got into it with Cash, but Cash doesn't want to. I think he threatened to resign if she continued as AG.
But Gino didn't go to work Wednesday. I'm going to go ahead and play this clip real quick. It's only 57 seconds.
Thank you.
Now to our new reporting about a potential shakeup at the FBI over a disagreement about how much information is released involving the death of Jeffrey Epstein. Gabe Gutierrez is at the White House tonight. Gabe, this involves a top leader at the Bureau?
Yes, Tom, Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino is considering resigning after a heated confrontation with Attorney General Pam Bondi. That's according to a person who has spoken with Bongino and a source familiar with his interactions with Bondi. One of the sources saying Bongino is, quote, out of control furious that the Justice Department is not releasing more information about Jeffrey Epstein and is threatening to quit unless Bondi is fired. Now, during his time as a podcaster, Bongino questioned whether there'd been a cover-up over Epstein's death. The response to all this, the White House now says, quote, the continued fixation on sowing division in President Trump's cabinet is baseless and unfounded in reality. Tom?
All right, Gabe, we thank you. Here on the internet, you can pretend to be.
Real life house of cards. Real life house of cards. Like this is happening.
And I asked you guys last night, what's up? I asked last night for the maggots to come up and explain what is going on. Because I thought you guys were trying to cover up the Epstein thing because all your friends are on the list. And come to find out, it's just the opposite. So who are
he said, I've got, well, I don't have an exact response to that, but I do have something to add to that I was just going to share, because this just broke. This is a reel from, she's a public defender, she's a very well-known attorney, and she just broke this on her Instagram reel. I'm going to play it for you, it's really short. It's regarding the video from the so-called suicide. So, let me grab it. I'm going to grab it, I lose it. Okay.
He's catchable the drama from yesterday.
Okay, here we go.
This is not a conspiracy theory. The Department of Justice just released surveillance footage they claimed was the raw video from the night Jeffrey Epstein died in federal custody. But the metadata tells a very different story. It shows the file was exported from Adobe Premiere Pro. It was stitched together from at least 2 clips. It was saved multiple times. In other words, it was edited. I'm Eliza Orland's career public defender for 15 years in Manhattan, and let me tell you something that should make your blood boil. If I tried to introduce a video like this in court as evidence in front of a jury, it would be tossed immediately. Because when you tamper with the original file, you break the chain of custody, and when you leave out key moments like the full minute of missing footage, it's no longer evidence. It's deemed unreliable. It's inadmissible. It's compromised, and it's absolutely not raw. And yet, that's exactly what the DOJ labeled it when they released it to the public. They either didn't think we'd check it out or didn't think we'd care if we found out. But we should care, because this isn't about conspiracy theories. It's about a government that pretends to be transparent while quietly rewriting the record behind closed doors. And the most chilling part? They thought you wouldn't notice. So share this, make sure you're following me for more, and let me know if you have questions. This is not conspiracy theory. The Department of Justice...
There you go. So, there's that.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm loving every second of this. Down Bongino was the one pushing nonsense. Yeah, Josh Patel. Good luck to them. But actually, no, not good luck to them. Fuck them both.
Agreed. But this is technology. I cannot believe that they realize that this has been spliced together. It's been shared. It's been edited. It's like how technology is a beautiful thing. How were they able to see that? Something is okay, y'all. Something's going on. Something just ain't right. And I don't know what it is.
Want to shift to more bad news? I feel like all I have is bad news for you tonight.
No, we're just trying to figure all this stuff
You
out.
know, honest to God, it's true. Yeah, I mean, I just read about an hour ago that they fired 1,400 more workers. So these are civil servants and foreign servants. 1,400 people gone out of work today in the process of
Earlier.
yeah, I saw that on New York Times about an hour, and it looked like it was a pretty fresh story. So they're going to have a great weekend, these people who devoted their lives to service.
Because you know the Supreme Court cleared the way for Trump to continue to fire people from the federal government.
Yep.
Did you guys see that? You guys know that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So there's people trying to come up with a blue thing coming up across my screen while I'm driving. But coming up, LeVon, I know you got some breaking news if you're not at work. It's just a mess. And we keep on losing. We're literally losing. I don't know what these maggots are talking about for winning. And I wish they would. And we can't be running them off tonight, y'all. Because they got explaining to do. They really do. Any other breaking news, guys, up there? Anybody got any other breaking news?
You want more bad news? I've got a lot of bad news. Well, I mentioned it a couple of hours ago in here that there was a Palestinian American 20-year-old who was murdered in the West Bank last night in Israel, which is a horrible story. It was in the settlements, and he was absolutely murdered, and then they wouldn't let the ambulance get through, and they held it up for 2 hours to get him to a hospital. 20-year-old, this is an American citizen. So that was my worst news of the day.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'll put it in the chat, but yeah, it's really horrible.
Who reported that out?
Sorry, yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it in a Substack, but I'll grab the story.
So, and then I know you guys have heard that there's going to be a public, they're trying to call a public health emergency over measles. Schumer, though, is urging Kennedy, we need to get the stats on the measles, but Schumer is telling RFK that he needs to declare a public health emergency over measles. So if you guys are not vaccinated, you know what to do or don't do. But that's really remarkable also of this country. In other news, there is a I'm driving, trying to look at my phone. This is pretty dangerous. All right, so can we talk about the article that I read? I think it was yesterday, and you guys have been hitting on it like all day today, basically here and there. The plan to use Medicaid recipients as form labor. Can somebody open that up for us and explain who's actually read maybe one of the articles or seen any reliable footage on it? What's the plan?
It's the first I'm hearing of it.
Are you serious? Is the first you're hearing of it?
Yeah, because like many of us, I'm adulting, so I usually come in and get the news from you guys. If I don't hear it on BBC or NPR, I must have missed that.
Yeah, it's only because I'm driving that I can't open it up for you. That's why I'm asking. And I know I can't be the only one who's seen that or heard about it. And they changed the requirements. You guys, somebody they changed the requirements for you need to be working at least. I'm gonna be giving you guys wrong information because I'm driving.
80 hours. 80 hours.
80. Is that a week or a month?
A month. 80 hours a month. A month.
Right. So.
And at 80 hours a month, you can't make over $9.83 if you're a single mom with 1 kid.
Okay, so you can't make over $9 and something cents.
Hey, Lisa, I think your mic is a little low.
Okay, let me see if I can turn it up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm driving.
Just a heads up.
Okay. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry.
It was just Mo's having problems. He needs to clean out his ear.
I just had a dual power earwax, my bad.
Yeah, we need to power wash
Alright, so Lisa, I just want to let you know we have a few new people on stage. Can you ask your question again? Maybe we can get an answer.
Okay, so there is a article, or there's news out there that people who are on Medicaid are possibly going to be used as farm labor.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Farm labor.
Right.
So, okay, can anybody open up that story and tell us what they know?
I'll go look for it.
While y'all do
April, you haven't heard about that, April?
We played the clip yesterday. Yeah, we discussed it yesterday. I thought you might want the clip.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the clip for me because I'm about 15 minutes out and able to pull all this stuff up for you guys. But this is right here is scary. Not that I'm on Medicaid, but if I was and if I wasn't, who cares? You know what I mean? If you need it, you need it, and it's here for you. But the thing about me going out and picking carrots, y'all don't want to see that happen.
I ain't on Medicaid, so I ain't worried about it.
I'm not on Medicaid either, but
I think y'all care. It's all good.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I don't know.
But she said you're gonna be.
Oh, okay. Okay.
She said either you're gonna be labor.
Garrett said pick by water. I am not purchasing. I guarantee you, Garrett will not be in my basket. Water.
You're lost.
Hell.
Mine are going to be cleaner and sharper than everybody else. I'm going to pick the best ones.
Yeah, I bet you are. And yeah. Now get those mushrooms that you've been picking. I'll take a bag of those. But you picking carrots? No.
Because how much money is NVIDIA spending? $1 billion? So Intel, they canceled the $3-4 billion worth of project, right? So it's a lose-lose situation, you had the Cisco cancel their project as well. Again, let's say if I own a company in America, let's say I'm a multi-billionaire or $1 billion, I have like a bunch of assets that worth up to $1 billion. I want to set up a company inside Israel. You know what I would be looking at, because it's always under fucking attack, right? And it's,
I have the clip.
Crazy.
I have the clip. Here we go.
Thank you.
The president has expressed concerns about how mass deportations would affect the farm industry. Do you have concerns on this front? And are you hearing about some of these top conservatives saying that there's a push for amnesty for this workforce?
I appreciate you bringing that up. There's been a lot of noise in the last few days and a lot of questions about where the president stands and his vision for farm labor. The first thing I'll say is the president has been unequivocal that there will be no amnesty, and I think that's very, very important. I and the rest of our cabinet certainly support that, effectuate that, and make sure that happens every single day. The second thing, to your question about mass deportations, the president and I have spoken about that once or twice, and he has always been of the mindset that at the end of the day, the promise to America to ensure that we have a 100% American workforce stands, but we must be strategic in how we are implementing the mass deportation so as not to compromise our food supply. Ultimately, the answer on this is automation, also some reform within the current governing structure, and then also when you think about there are 34 million able-bodied adults in our Medicaid program, there are plenty of workers in America, but we just have to make sure we're not compromising today, especially in the context of everything we're thinking about right now. So no amnesty under any circumstances. Mass deportations continue, but in a strategic and intentional way as we move our workforce toward more automation and toward a 100% American workforce.
So she just said domestic agriculture labor, either Medicaid recipients or automation. So this is gonna happen.
She is the what is she? She's the U.S. Agriculture Secretary. So.
Oh my God. And you know what else she said? You know what she means? She literally just said, well, we're going to continue to use immigrants. We're going to strategically deport them as we continue to use them so that we have an opportunity to start automating shit.
Yeah, I heard that, JD. And I also heard her say there are 34, basically, she might as well just said there's 34 million lazy Americans watching Jerry Springer all day that are able to work.
Well,
like, that was no shade.
She's wrong in her calculations, Bruce, because if there are 34 million, we could look at that later. 2/3 of those people already work a job.